Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on League Unlocked. My name is Eric, and North America has been painful at times to watch in 2020, especially if it's not a Cloud9 game. But thankfully for the LCS and fans of North American League of Legends, you have Cloud9, and the big debate around them is how good are they actually, because it looks like the other 9 teams are floundering in the LCS and not really sure how to play this meta or just how to play the game solidly, as they're still developing synergy with these new rosters. But we got to take a look at how dominant Cloud9 has been, because even though the competition might not have been here, the level that they are destroying these teams is something we haven't seen in a very long time. If you look at the numbers as a team, we're comparing not just the major regions, but the minor regions as well, which is really when you can have some of these disgusting numbers, because a lot of them have one solid team that just beats up on a lot of less than stellar squads, which again is what is happening in the LCS. But look at all these first place numbers. Towers lost, they only lose 1.3 a game, and these are minimum 5 games played. So some squads over in the Latin American scene maybe have only played 2 games. That's not enough. We got to put at least 5 in there. There's a few squads that have not given up a single Baron. The 90% Dragon control is insane. The gold differential per minute, that's not gold at 15, that's gold per minute. They're just making 400 more gold on average, and 4.09 as a team KDA is absolutely disgusting. The gold difference over 2K, and even when they get in these early deficits like they did against TSM, it takes them less than 10 minutes to completely turn those games around. So yes, the competition is not to the same level, not even to the same level that we're accustomed to seeing in the LCS, which is saying something, because we're accustomed to seeing some low quality play in North America. But what Cloud9 is doing is absolutely disgusting, especially when you're comparing to these minor regions, because that's almost what you're talking about the LCS in the same level of, where a lot of sometimes in the TCL or the CB LOL or even the OPL, it just becomes almost an all-star team of some of the players. Now, of course, the LCS fleeced the OPL of a lot of their good players, but it's almost the 5 best players in each role is what you're talking about for some of these top teams in the developing leagues. So the numbers are disgusting because they're obliterating everybody, but Cloud9 is even ahead of those leagues. 8 games in. We're almost half a year or half the year into the split for spring. We're only 10 games left. So these numbers aren't just kind of one-offs after a couple of weeks now. You can fully say that Cloud9 is just playing at an absolutely another level. And if you're talking about the best in their respective position, you could make that argument for every single player that is on this Cloud9 roster, because it's not hard to look through the numbers and look through the eye test and see that they are putting up first place in the majority, whether it's laning or doing the damage numbers outside of these fights. And Niski is the guy who you can maybe talk about not having the same laning numbers as most of the other players on that roster, but he's roaming around constantly. He's not afraid. He's not a KDA player, and he still has a 9.8 KDA. So that kind of speaks truly to him. The bot lane KDAs are obviously insane, with Sven dying again the second time, so it's down to 48.5, and people are sleeping on Vulcan, who has a 26 KDA. The only number on here that isn't first is that XP differential at 15 for Vulcan, which is a lowly third. What an absolute scrub. But Licorice and Niski, the combination of Blabber with them, they have just been absolutely obliterating the pre-15 laning phase. Sven and Vulcan are smashing opposing bot laners. They don't even need Blabber to give them attention. They have just been smashing pretty much on their own in a lot of these matchups. So yes, you could probably argue that that could be your all-pro team. 4 weeks into the LCS, it's 3 weeks in a row. Sven, Blabber, and now Niski have all earned Player of the Week honors in the LCS. It's Vulcan and Licorice's turn to lock that up as well. I mean, Licorice, you can talk about someday has had some great performances, but the consistency is probably favored for Licorice, especially even somebody like Huni. So Licorice is there. Blabber, we haven't really seen. Actually, we have seen a couple of times. The main knock on him was of course, playing a little bit too aggressively and sometimes borderline inting in some of these games. He had a couple unnecessary deaths on the Lee Sin, but across the board, Cloud9, every single member is playing at such a high level. You can talk about, well, they just boot camped better than the other LCS squads. They came in with less changes because 3/5 of the roster was the same, but you still had to bring in an entirely new bot lane. And I'm not buying they had a better offseason argument because we're 4 weeks in. Everybody's played 8 games. That should be plenty of scrim time to kind of develop your squad. I know everything's not going to be figured out. It's a long season. Teams are still figuring out the intricacies of their roster, what their play styles are, but teams have had time, and Cloud9 has just shot them down one after another and are just playing at an absolute another level. They need to be playing in a different league right now. Things can change drastically when playoffs roll around or even when the end of the regular season rolls around. And we've seen Cloud9 kind of falter off a lot in terms of years past. But I really don't see that happening because this team's so hungry. Most of them, all of them, haven't won an LCS title. And Sven looks like his best chance ever to be the first to win NA and EU. That's all the time today for League Unlocked. My name's Eric. Thanks for hanging out. We'll catch you on the flippity flop.